Welcome to CR Conversations, hosted by Ryan and Christina Palma of CR Photos.
We're professional photographers who survived the unpredictable and grueling path that took us from rudimentary dreamers to fully self-employed business owners. From sleepless nights of editing to daring leaps of faith when quitting 9-to-5 jobs, we kept pushing for the dream to become reality, and we did it together every step of the way.
Amazingly enough, our marriage also survived that journey.
In our 15 plus years in the industry, we've acquired a wealth of information that goes far beyond camera settings and marketing do's and don'ts.
We've also piled up countless stories, affectionately called Uncle Bob stories.
We'll be leaking those one episode at a time.
Don't worry, names and places have been changed to protect the guilty.
So welcome to CR Conversations. We hope you're ready to take a deep dive into life behind the lens and so much more.
We're back again in our little mini series on prepping for weddings. The first episode we did on this was for a vendor, specifically a photographer, videographer. And now we are switching over to you getting married, and specifically in the year that you are getting married. So it's all the things that you may not think about as that day approaches. And since we've been through it ourselves.
Yep.
And we've also seen people go through it hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yes.
We have a couple ideas of things that you may or may not have remembered that you should, and will help you as your day approaches.
Yes. So it is wedding year for you guys, and we're really excited. And we know we've put a lot of time and effort and energy into preparing. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's like really coming. And we're going to go over just like the main things that you should be doing this year to prepare as the days and months dwindle down to your big day. So
first, let me say our hope is that we do not add any more stress to you. One of the things that you mentioned is when you look at lists online, man, they can seem overwhelming. So we're hoping this just kind of helps you summarize some of the things that you have to do. And
yeah, I agree. Like this is more just like, hey, this is what's super important. The rest can kind of like fall away. Cause like Ryan said, when I was like just doing the research on putting this episode like stuff together, I was like full of anxiety and stress looking at all the things there is just out there to be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, how does anyone plan a wedding in this day and age with all the extra things that you think you have to do?
Even in the olden days of our wedding planning, pre-Pinterest.
Pre-social media.
It was it wasn't pre-social media. We're not that old.
Well, it was pre-Instagram. It was just Facebook, I guess.
Okay,
so, which kind of like, that's like that social media is like obsolete now.
Ancient.
I mean,
anyways, I do remember it being a stressful time, and looking back on it, even you would admit at times,
oh my gosh, yes,
certain things that just got too fixated on or too stressed out about.
Yeah. Admittedly, I say this all the time. The worst part of our relationship was our engagement.
Yeah, it was.
Because of all the stress that came with planning a wedding. Mind you, we did plan a wedding in less than 6 months, with a lot of other things going on, but it was still a lot. And that was before, like I said, we had all these, well-meaning Instagram and TikToks and Pinterest posts telling us all things we should be doing. So anyhow.
So our hope is that, yes, we help you make your planning a little bit easier.
So first off, we're going to go right into vendors. Vendors. You know this. You have been walking hand in hand with each one of your vendors, be it photographer, DJ, florist, all the things.
Caterers, don't forget the food.
Yeah, caterers, anybody who's there to help you make your day better. You've been working hand in hand with them. Well, now it's wedding year and things are coming down to the wire, and you need to really nuance all the things with each one of your vendors. So one of the biggest things, Ryan's sitting here. Ooh.
Nuance, guys. If it was a drinking game and every time Christina mentioned nuance.
No, guys, that is not true. And Ryan just is unfamiliar with the term and he thinks that I use it incorrectly, but I don't. So anybody who's listening to this,
some British show or something and wants to sound
anybody
fancy.
Who's listening to this, you can back me up and be like, yes, she used it appropriately. So we're just going to continue on and let Ryan worry about his words he doesn't know.
All right, nuance this subject for us, my dear.
No, that's not. Okay. Guys, check in with your vendors because you're going to need to really nail down timeline. One of the people you really need to walk really close with this year is your day of coordinator, be that provided by your venue or somebody you've hired, and your photographer. You really need to nail down some things before you can do some really important things like sending out your save the dates, your invitations. You have to have connected with your photographer, day of coordinator. So you know what time the ceremony is, all of that sort of stuff. That's really, really important. So make sure you're on that.
Yeah, definitely don't put the cart ahead of the horse. You got to make sure that everybody's still on the same plan that you have. You may have something finalized in your head, but you haven't checked in with some of the powers that be. And so what we're saying is you really need to have these vendors in your corner. And they are, but you got to be communicating with them. That's a word that we've used a lot. Communication.
Yeah. So check in with all of your people and then begin to prepare. All right. You got it. You're sending invitations out, you know, getting all that sort of stuff done. But another thing that often happens, we hear all the time, because obviously we do a lot of chit chatting with DJs on like a wedding day. So many people do not do the things that vendors request. And we hear this first from DJs. So I'm going to like pick on all of you couples for not doing this for your DJs. A DJ will oftentimes send you here. Send me a must playlist, a do not playlist. Give me an idea of what type of music you want. And so many times the DJs are like,
they didn't give me anything.
Yep. Or we've literally had people at their wedding ceremony on the phone with a DJ trying to give them introduction songs, like first dance songs, because they never did it. Like months and months and months, the DJ hounded them. They never did it. So guys, do your DJ a favor, like take care of the stuff that they ask you to take care of so that you don't have to worry about it right after you said I do on your wedding day. Yeah,
it's all about being able to just be there at your wedding on the day of. Get all the work done beforehand so that the day of is just smooth sailing, a lot of fun.
Yeah, another thing you need to check in with your vendors is just go over your payment schedules. A lot of things are going to be due, you know, a week or two before your wedding. And then after, like, make sure you're aware if your credit cards are all set to go, like make sure you're not like surprised by any of the payments coming up and that nothing has changed. You got to get your vendor meal choices, like do the communicating with all those people.
And of all vendors we should be promoting, it should be photographers, right?
Right.
Have you scheduled your engagement session with enough time in advance to get out your save the dates?
Yeah, if you haven't done your engagement session, obviously I'm hoping you're doing that at this point. If not, make sure you get on the calendar. If you're using those photos, like communicate that with your photographer to know that, you know, you want to use them and stuff. But for sure.
For sure what?
Reach out to your vendors.
Yeah. Okay. The next category is personal. So personal would be any of the things that you need to do, like your personal alterations to your dress and suit, stuff like that. So we're going to go through this list. First thing you want to do, probably months and months in advance, this is at the beginning, is get that registry opened up. Get your registry opened up so your guests have proper time to get you those beautiful microwaves and dishware and all the things that you're hoping and longing for.
Yeah, if you haven't had your bridal shower, it's probably coming up. Your wedding's getting closer. So definitely make sure, if you haven't already, get that bridal registry started and have fun doing it. That was actually one of the more fun things I remember about our engagement time.
I do actually remember going through and with a little price tag or whatever that was. And just checking.
Back in the day, you had to go in the store with a little gun and like pick out all the things. Now you just sit there and do it online, which maybe isn't quite as fun, but it can be enjoyable. Try and make these little things a date or something that's not just like, oh, we're checking stuff off the list.
Okay, this next one, depending on where you are in your relationship, can be fun or it can be a bit of a challenge, but is something that we personally highly recommend.
For sure.
Premarital counseling. We went through it with our pastor from our church. So especially if you belong to a church, tap into the resource there, get some premarital counseling. If you do not belong to a church, either find one or there is a lot of counseling out there for prepping.
Yeah, for your wedding and your marriage, because beyond planning for just one day, you are actually prepping for your marriage. That is the entire point of this whole thing. Your marriage. We put so much time into the planning of obviously the actual wedding day. We're planning it for years and all this, but the main thing is the marriage. That is what we are hopefully putting the most time into. So it makes complete sense to invest in the marriage, which is going to go far beyond, Lord willing, just the day. Right?
Amen. Preach it.
So invest in that because that is what's going to last the test of time.
But the things that do go back just to the day itself. One of the more fun parts of our wedding planning was practicing for our first dance.
Yes. Maybe you're not that sort of couple. I think a lot of people do it more, but yeah, we still, and occasionally try to remember, we dance around the kitchen with the kids. Do something fun for your first dance. It doesn't have to be something choreographed, but just more than, swaying back and forth.
Yeah, really it was for us because we don't have any dancing backgrounds.
None.
Besides tearing it up in the club.
What?
No, you never did.
No, never.
For us, we did not have any dancing background, so it was important for us because of just the thought of being in front of your entire friends and family and everybody focused on you dancing. We just went and took a few classes and
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And we, as you said, we use those.
Yeah, we still try and, practice them and see if we can still remember. The kids laugh when we do it in the kitchen. So it's something that, again, like we said, have fun doing these things that have to get done one way or another. This is something that can be like a little date night. Or
how many times have you done an engagement shoot where the couple would say to you, this is the first time we've practiced our dance, or like,
Yep, lots and lots of times. Or they're like, wait, or you put them in a pose or have them do something like, oh my goodness, we have to dance together. We should practice that. So, hey, get ahead of it and plan some dance classes.
This next one you've probably never seen before, but I don't want to throw everybody under the bus on my side of, the sex battle.
Oh, dear.
I have seen many a gentleman writing his vows on the morning of.
In all honesty, I too have seen many a bride writing her vows on the morning of her wedding.
Uh-oh.
Probably not as many as you have. And I will say probably 50% of those people have just been transferring the vows. They've already written into the pretty book. But for sure, I've seen some girls writing their vows on their wedding day. So. Okay,
I guess boys are not alone. One of the things that I didn't do well, wish I did better, was purchasing your bridal party gifts and gifts for each other.
Yes. Yep.
Obviously, you won't want to wait till the last weekend to do this. You're going to want to do this in advance. And I've seen some thoughtful gifts, and I'm like, I really did not do well when I see some of the gifts that these guys
But I will say this, we have to give ourselves some grace because weddings have evolved so much. There is an expectation now that if you're in a wedding, you're going to be receiving a gift. And even with the gifts the bride and groom give each other, there's like a lot of pressure with that. And when we got married, it's 14 years ago, that was not the case. Like you got each other something and that was it. I did not get gifts for my bridal party, and that was not weird. Like it was not a thing.
It wasn't as expected as it is now, as you said.
So with that, yes, maybe plan if you're doing something for them, but also don't get like so carried away that you're like bankrupting yourself trying to get something that's cool or meaningful. Like it's okay if it's something just small and just letting them know you're thankful for what they did for you. Like don't go crazy, but also if you're going to do it, make sure you're planning for it and have fun. Have fun.
Yes.
That's the overarching theme today is have fun in your planning.
Another fun one, and one that you could easily forget about because you spend so much time investing on the engagement ring. Don't forget the wedding band.
Yes, the wedding bands. And I will say, make sure your wedding band goes with your engagement ring.
Christina is on wedding band number 2.
Yes. Unfortunately, and this is not on us. This is on a jeweler who should have known better. We were sold a ring that does not go with my band, meaning that it damaged.
Functionally, yes.
It damaged my engagement ring. Yeah, I loved it. I had picked it out, but they should have said, oh, well, actually, this might do this. And sure enough, it did ruin my engagement ring. So we are on band number 2, which it's okay because I really love band number 2. But don't forget to purchase those as you're waiting for your big day.
Yeah, could be a fun experience just like these other ones. You've got to take care of that dress and the suit. You got to make sure you're
fun things.
Scheduling the alterations.
Yep. Hair, makeup, do those hair and makeup trials. What else we got to do?
This is something very practical and is extremely important if you're planning on getting ready at your house.
I would say whether you are getting ready at your house or you're just coming back after the wedding or after your honeymoon back to your home, invest in having it cleaned.
Yeah.
You don't want to get ready in a house that's dirty, and you also don't want to come home to a house that's trashed and everyone's gotten ready there and left their stuff, and now you're coming home to the hurricane mess that was your wedding.
That would be a double cleaning if you are getting ready at your house, because you are going to most certainly have a messy house if you had 20 people getting ready in your home.
And that doesn't have to be, I'm going to hire a professional cleaner. Just put somebody in charge of, hey, aunt, uncle, friend, whoever, maybe not your uncle, one of your girlfriends. Can you please be in charge of tidying up the house, making sure it's like presentable when you get home? Because whether you're coming home that night or after your honeymoon, you do not want to be met with a huge old mess. So definitely put some time into figuring all those details out. Other things that kind of get like forgotten about. Do you have pets?
You gotta have somebody that's going to be watching the dog, taking care of the dogs on the day of. That's a difficult situation to hire friends for, because it's like, oh, you didn't invite me to the wedding. but you're inviting me.
Right.
So there are professional services out there.
Yes.
If that one becomes a difficult thing for you or an awkward one. So this next one, similar to cleaning your home, one of the things that we see, and it's always a product of people just not knowing or not thinking of this, is when close family or even a bride and groom are cleaning up after the reception.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to do at 12 o'clock at night on your wedding day. You want to get home, just crash, relax, do whatever else you might do.
And you don't want to have your parents like cleaning up. Like that's one thing that I know some of the venues are getting married in a tent or some more kind of like rustic background and trying to save some money and you're doing everything yourself. Trust me, on the night of your wedding, your family members, and for sure not you, should not be cleaning up after all of your friends and family's party. So while it may cost you a little bit of money to have somebody come and do it or delegate it to people who are not your family.
Well, I was going to say delegate it to somebody. Everybody's got that friend that just loves to give of their time. It's like kind of their love language. They love to serve. And so perhaps you have one of those friends, somebody that could just go and pick up all the gifts, and clean up, but also bring the gifts to where they need to be to like a safe and secure location. So it's, again, this is a little bit of delegation. We're going to talk a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next part as well when we get into the more of the actual party planning. But lastly here with the personal, plan your honeymoon. And again, have fun doing that. Make sure that you've thought about, all the things you'll need for travel, where you want to go, budgeting that out. Like it's wedding year. It is time. It's okay to get excited about that. And I encourage you to take a honeymoon. I feel like I understand weddings are extremely expensive and we have jobs and all the things, but I feel it's becoming a growing trend where people are not taking a honeymoon.
Or they're doing it 6 months later. There was nothing better than it's like you work so hard getting up to the wedding. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to like actually just lay back on whether you want to be in a beach, in a hammock, exploring something. Just that relaxation and that time together alone is priceless. Yeah.
So don't forget about that. And again, enjoy doing that. Have some fun.
Did you mention passports? Gonna have all those?
Oh yeah. When you're packing all that stuff, don't forget all of your travel things and making sure you're arranging, having your marriage certificate, because there can be some issues with, your name says this, all of that sort of stuff. Make sure you just have all the proper documentation because you do not want to be stuck somewhere and really be stuck there because your documentation, doesn't match up. So don't forget about those little details as well.
Next group.
Party planning is the next part. You've already done a lot of this because this is literally what you've been planning.
Party planning.
But now that we're a year of, we're just going to go through, hit these really fast, making sure you're not forgetting anything. So rehearsal. Where are you doing it? Who's going? Inviting, having that conversation with your significant other. Like, are all the people invited on both sides of the family, even though they're not in the wedding? All of those things. Who's paying for it? Is there an after party? What's going on? Making sure you're doing that.
Then some of the basic but necessary things, accommodations leading up to the wedding, people's hotels, transportation. Have you thought about shuttling? Obviously, people are going to be drinking on the night of generally, so you want to make sure there's good transportation back and forth to the hotels. Yep, your transportation for the wedding day. Are you getting a limo? Are you on one location? Do you need something yourself? Who's bringing you home at the end of the night? Guys, true story. This is actually happened on a wedding day. We were taking photos. Bride and groom got married. Literally, we're finishing up photos with them. Everybody leaves. Nobody's there to drive the bride and groom. Like literally, not a single car. Thankfully, we were there, and with our shiny gray minivan, we had just cleaned out our minivan. I know the bride and groom are in the back of our van watching Minions on the little TV. But those are little things that sometimes get forgotten, and thankfully, we'll have a vendor who will gladly take you. But other vendor things. This could have gone into the vendor category, but this is part of party planning, so we kept it here. Seating chart, head count, stuff like that. That's extremely important. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time sitting down, just planning out where people are going to be seated. Yeah. Where they'll be seated. Yeah. Where will they be seated? Have fun, Do you have any recommendations for that? Because sometimes I do see tables that are just like, here's the crazy table. Yeah. Here's the obviously single table. Should you mix it up? This is my recommendation. If Aunt Bob and Uncle Sally can't get along, put them at the same table. I mean, come on. Excitement. Why not? They need to grow up and get over their feud. And weddings sometimes need a little bit of drama. So that's my recommendation. I like that. I do like that. You could solve some. You never know what could happen. They could get along. A few drinks in and everything could just wash away.
Oh man. Another thing to consider, I think this is a great thing. This is something that me, even as a vendor, I love it when people do that. When you have a little goodie basket in the bathroom, especially for the girls, you know, you've got some hairspray in it, you've got some like mints or something. That's not a must, but if it's something you wanted to do, you know, put together a little basket.
I've certainly taken advantage of those.
Yeah. So that's something you can do. Another thing to just be aware of is going through planning out all your gratuities, right? Some of your gratuities are included a lot of time with the venue, your caterer, that like service fee. Make sure you know the difference between a service fee and a gratuity. And if you need to, you know, tip, even when there's a service fee, everybody's things are different, but figure out beforehand, are we tipping? Who are we tipping? How much are we tipping?
Now, perhaps bride and groom would want to pass out the tips. So that'd be completely normal. But if you want to have somebody else do that for you, make sure you've talked to them about that.
Yeah, sometimes like I always like feel bad when we go to like say goodnight to bride and groom and then they're like, oh, hold on a second. And then like run upstairs or run to wherever they had their stuff and they're trying to like hunt down a tip. And I always feel like, oh, I'm just taking them away from their party, but they also want to like give a tip. So maybe giving that to your day of coordinator, giving it to a mom or parent, someone, so you just don't have to worry about it. Like just hand all the envelopes over, obviously to someone you trust.
Yes.
Have them labeled so you don't have to like run away. But again, I understand if you're like, no, I want to personally give that to each person. We get that as well.
But just be very organized. Like have a good plan for it. Perhaps, I don't know, the coordinator is holding on to that for you. So at the moment you just flag her down. Yeah. One of the funnier things that I think of when we get tipped is when we get tipped at the very beginning of the day.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like, well, you haven't even seen my work yet. I mean, they've seen our work, but it's like, hey, we're tipping you for all the hard work you've done today. And I'm like, we haven't even started. What if we do terrible today?
That is like a joke we often talk about on a wedding day. People come just be like, oh my gosh, you guys are just so great. You've done such a great job. And I'm like, they haven't even seen any of the photos
They've
yet.
just seen us walking around with big cameras
all day.
Nothing's come out of it. We have, we haven't showed them anything. They haven't seen anything. They're just.
That's just another point right there. Maybe this would have been the last week's episode with the photographers. So much of what we do is relational. Before someone even sees a photo, they have an opinion about you. So keep that in mind.
I can't say it's like foolproof because you still got to deliver. But if they like you, they're going to like your photos.
A whole lot more.
This would be a little bit party planning, but it's a little bit more on the emergency side. Not so much the party side, but the day of. Make sure you've got these things.
So this, save this for week of your wedding. Okay. So come back, fast forward to this moment here and make sure you have these things, emergency packs for your wedding day. All right. So I'm going to go through the girls, then Ryan will go through the boys, and then we'll conclude this little mini series we have for you all. So the girls are so many things in this pack that you will most likely not reach for. But if you're in a space where you need to reach for this, you are going to be so happy you had it. Okay.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. So things like needles, thread. We talked about this last week. I have for sure sewn so many guys' pants that I can't even count them throughout the years. I have sewn brides into their wedding dresses. I have sewn bridesmaids into their wedding dresses. Needle and thread is a must on a wedding day. If you don't need it, thank the Lord. But if you do, you're going to be thankful you had it. Okay.
And thankful that you have a photographer that also sews.
I do know how to sew.
Doubles as a seamstress.
Another thing that we use often on a wedding day, just because of the nature of what we do, is wet wipes. Okay. We will most likely be outside.
You're
with your
going
dress.
to be in nature. There's a little bit of dirt. There's different things that you'll naturally just kind of rub against, even if it's gravel. And so,
even another thing that happens more times in dirt is your hands have makeup on them and you touch your dress, you pull it down, and with different materials and stuff, most successfully, wet wipes or shout wipes are must have on your wedding day. So definitely want to have those, a Tide to Go stick, scissors, your lip gloss, extra makeup. Okay. This is one thing that I wish people had. And almost all of your makeup artists are going to send you with extra lip stuff. But a lot of times what happens and the biggest kind of issues we have to deal with isn't lip stuff. It's if you've cried and your tear like run down the middle of your cheek and now it's like created this path where all of your makeup is gone. So you really need to have a little bit extra foundation, a little bit of blush, whatever you're wearing the day of, and some setting powder. Like I can almost always fix that on like a wedding day. If I have a little bit of stuff, you need a beauty blender as well. So just having those little extra things because a lot of times it happens. You'll see each other in your first look and then all day you've got this little crease here. If you bring the right stuff, I can most definitely help you fix it. Dry shampoo. This is another one, especially on summer weddings. Your hair's down, your back is sweating, your hair's, and it just ends up creating this big ball of like nastiness. But if you have some dry shampoo to like put on the back of your neck and on your back, your hair will then slide nicely as opposed to, just bunching up. Scissors, if I haven't said it already. Tissues, of course, gum, extra undergarments. Sometimes you don't know what bra you're going to wear with your dress, all that stuff. Like bring options. Definitely bring tape to tape yourself in. All of the things that us girls need. Like don't be afraid. Bring extra pair of shoes if you're changing, all that stuff.
And snacks.
Snacks, because you're going to be taking photos.
Angry.
Just have some granola bars, all that stuff in your pack. Advil. What else? An energy drink to stay hydrated, especially if you're getting married in the summer. And that concludes the emergency kit for the girls. Boys.
Bring a pocket knife and a handkerchief. It's basic. Yeah, it's so simple. All right, bring some extras. Boys, we sweat, so bring an extra undershirt.
An extra actual shirt, too. We've seen guys need that.
That, too. Yeah, be prepared. Somebody's going to have a shirt that doesn't fit just right. So if you got an extra shirt, bring it along with you as a backup for yourself, or perhaps you will save the day for the groom. We also tear up the dance floor. So you might want to bring an extra pair of shoes for the dance floor. One of the things that we've talked about, we've laughed about multiple times on this podcast is I like to pass out handkerchiefs. Handkerchiefs in the summertime, not for the old school blowing your nose, but for wiping your brow.
Lifesaver.
So much sweat when you're in a 3-piece suit. And when you're getting photos taken of that, you just got that shiny wet head. You're going to want to be able to dab and wipe. So a handkerchief is a great tool. All the other things, belts, shoes, you could take a little bit of some of the girl stuff. Their hairspray comes in handy for the boys sometimes, but if you can be prepared so you're not running up to the girls.
So many times boys run in, does anybody have some hairspray or some gel or something?
Come on, boys. So I mentioned a pocket knife. Now here's another, this is like a prepping thing that you need to do. Your ties, your bow ties, your pocket squares. You need to learn how to fold those before the day of the wedding. You will save yourself so much time. If you know how to tie a tie, especially if you're doing a bow tie, nobody knows how to do a bow tie.
YouTube will be your best friend, boys.
But do the practice beforehand.
You can be like the savior on that day. So many times Ryan is the one who's helping all the guys like folding their pocket squares or doing their ties. But this past year, there was one guy who knew how to tie like
all the bow ties.
Actual bow tie, and that man was invaluable that day.
Incredible! I've never seen anything like that.
I let him know. You could be a groom who knows how to do that.
Yes, I let that groomsman know how great he was. In all my years of seeing this, I'd never seen anybody step up to the plate like that.
Yes. All right, guys, that concludes the list of things, I know it seemed like a lot, but really, if you just look at the main points, it wasn't too exhaustive. You can find a whole lot more if you dare on the internets, but these are like the main points we think you should be attacking right now.
Yeah, and the reason for this, as we stated in the beginning, is because we have seen one too many brides that on the day of the wedding, they were just still in planning work mode. And it's one of the sadder things that you can see.
Yeah. Put the time and energy in now so that the day of you can just let it all go and relax. Everybody's taking things off of your plate and you can just enjoy your actual wedding.
Before we end this episode, just going to give you a little bit of what we are doing in the next one. It's one of our favorites. It's the Q&A. And our social media expert is going to go online and prompt you.
Yeah, I'm going to put a little question box up there. It's all anonymous. You can ask us anything you want.
Yes, throw some curveballs. We may or may not answer everyone. It might be too personal or something, but...
Yeah, but there's no rules. Send us some questions. I'm going to put that in our Sierra Conversations Instagram. I'll save it as a highlight so you can just go back to it and I'll advertise that we're taking in questions and stuff. But we love those episodes. They're kind of a little bit easier for us because we can just kind of chat, which I think is a little bit maybe more of even what people want to hear and see. They're always asking about your beard and, all this sort of.
Yeah, go like really funny, ask some really funny questions and maybe ask some really, really serious questions.
Yeah, maybe do too. Be like, hey, something
if you
goofy.
can make us laugh really hard or you can make us cry.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
those are some tough expectations.
Well, come on.
I know.
Putting a little bit of work on you. Our faithful followers.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. That's what the next episode, if not 2, will be. And then obviously, if you haven't already, go listen to episode 22, review our giveaway, submit your love story, tell somebody about it. We are giving away our wedding services for free to a lucky winner.
And before you know it, we're going to be having that episode where we share the winner.
Yes. So that the submissions end for that the last Friday in April, and then we announce the winner the first Friday in May. So don't forget about that. And until then, cheers. We hope today's episode was insightful. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review, as this helps others find us. If you have any questions or comments on topics you would like to hear us unpack, please send those to podcast@crphotos.org. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We can be found at C_R_conversations, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a post.